I'm Katie Scheurer, and welcome back to Project Spatial. If this is your first time here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you back. I am doing videos every week, making sure that you are getting the most spatial impact in your company that you can produce. So today, to help you increase your spatial impact, I got to sit down with Miguel from Mapidea. And if you guys haven't heard about Mapidea, you need to. If you guys need to increase your spatial impact, if you're stuck just creating data and have a laundry list of projects that you are doing and you can't get that management suite to really dive in and dig into your information, then you need to check this out because guys, it's a game changer, trust me. So without further ado, let's jump into the interview.
So to start out, do you want to just kind of give a little introduction of yourself and kind of who you are and what you guys are doing with Mapidea and that sort of
Yeah,
thing?
yeah. I'm Miguel. I'm the CEO and founder of Mapidea, and we are a company that is simplifying GIS for people that don't even understand what GIS means. So that's the goal, to put everyone inside the organization to use geography, spatial analysis on a simplified way.
And we can all use a little bit more geography in our life, can't we?
Yes, yes. And in fact, I think that we already use geography on our private lives, since
Mm-hmm.
Google Maps I think is the most important milestone. And Google Maps is 15 years old now these days. But on the organization side, on the corporation side, there's still a not democratization of GIS and location analytics in the organization. So in our private labs, you already use Uber, Airbnb, Strava, Facebook posts. But on the business side, there's always a guy on the basement doing maps to put on a PowerPoint, or there is a couple of nerds there that do some magic with some Excel data and put it on the map. But it's not actually a real enablement of the organizations using location analytics and GIS. And again, that's why Mapidea was created, to contribute to that.
I wanted to kind of have my audience get a chance to know you a little bit. And I think we all have a little bit of a story on how we get into geography on our own and how we kind of develop that love for geography. So why did you start working in geography? Like, what brought you into the industry originally?
Yeah, well, I think it gets me way back because I started playing with geography before I worked with geography. So I love maps. I love to see maps on the books, the atlas books, and the ones that my father has on the car, the paper
Mm-hmm.
maps
Mm-hmm.
or the streets, and it always draw my attention. So I draw a lot of maps. I draw on top of maps with transparent paper. So maps as an object always draw attention to me.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got lucky because the geography that they teach us at high school and at normal school, it doesn't anything to do with geography that we teach and learn in the university. So it's a huge gap between that. So I think I got lucky because I managed to go to geography in the university, and then is where it really hit me. Okay, this is not a hobby. This is something that I want to do in my life. Not only maps, but when I learned about GIS, I really understood the power. So that vision of simplifying reality so we can have a way to maneuverability of it, and the layer metaphor, I think it's amazing to deal with the data that is around. So I got lucky because I went to university thinking about one geography, and then I found a completely new world that got me to work until today. And I'm lucky because I already also teach at university. So it's like closing the circle. Like I learned a lot. Now I'm trying to contribute to others' learnings.
On your path to GIS, was there something that a mentor shared with you? I have a lot of college students that have been watching these videos and a lot of industry people that are just starting to get ready. Is there anything a mentor said to you or kind of helped you out in some way that you would like to pass on?
Yes. It's something, actually, two things very important, I think, and they stick to me until this day. And again, I pass this to the students and even inside Mapidea. The first thing, it was my remote sensing teacher, and later the mentor of the final dissertation of the studies. He told that don't focus so much on technology itself, but focus what you can achieve. So a buffer
Yes.
is a buffer. I don't care if it's doing on ArcGIS, Mapinfo, QGIS. What you
Mm-hmm.
can do with it, where you can place it on the value chain of organization or to solve a problem, I think it's very important. And he said this on a context that it, again, I'm not a native English person, but I've tried to translate. He told us that it's important to think as a geographer, to do as a geographer, but to know how to behave, how to talk about geography, how to understand the potential,
Mm-hmm.
and that stick to with me since then, because it's not only doing the technical part, it's not doing delivering the results, but it's only knowing to talk about geography. So one thing is National Geographic, and everyone knows,
Mm-hmm.
but between National Geographic and the geography that is being done every day on a bank, on a pharma company, on a retail supermarket chain, there's a huge difference. But the principles are the same. So, and that's important. Know how to be a geographer, not
Mm-hmm.
only to do, how to think as a geographer.
Yeah, and I think that's what truly brings kind of our profession a unique benefit to every industry, is that we come with a different mindset, and we can't sell ourselves short with that, because we do think differently. We think spatially.
Yeah.
We know how to work with information and make connections in different ways that other people don't necessarily think about right away or at all. How did this Mapidea project begin? Where did you guys get your momentum? What did it come from? Were you guys trying to solve a particular problem, or where did it all start?
Well, it began. I have a co-founder. It's my colleague Eduardo. Is the CTO of the company. Is the guy that typically says that has the nightmares to do the stuff. I have the dreams to draw things on a map, and he needs to develop them on coding the product on a sweet way. It's not on a bad way. The nightmares. But I had the fortune to work for one of the largest IT company here in Portugal, and we did a lot of custom development projects. And the location, and we are talking about 2000 more or less, 20 years ago, and location was perceived as sometimes important, but there was no expertise inside the organization. In 2000 persons, that there were two geographers, myself and another person. So we started developing systems from scratch, sometimes using desktop solutions, sometimes selling desktop solution to customers. And it gets really frustrating because sometimes we sell a software and then they don't use it because
Oh,
it's complex, you have a
mm-hmm.
huge learning curve. And sometimes the guys just want to know how many customers within 500 meters of a store, or when are the municipalities or the regions where the sales have dropped. I want a map to put on the PowerPoint. So something that is also, sometimes it gets also frustrating for a geographer because it's minor challenges. It's nothing, we can do it in 5 seconds.
Right.
And it started to grow from there. So I was seeing that people have difficulties dealing with the traditional GIS. For us, it's easy. I don't care if, again, ArcGIS or Mapinfo,
Mm-hmm.
it's the same to me and doesn't present a challenge. But for a person from sales, from marketing, for expansion, they have to struggle, they have to fight with the technology. So
Right.
that was the embryonic stage of Mapidea. 2014, going forward, 2014, we decided to give it a try. So we had great feedback from the simplification that we already putting on the projects that we have done for that company, and we decided to go for it and to try. So We are not trying to be the next Facebook or Uber. No, that's not the end game here. But it's a very beautiful ride for us, very satisfying ride. We are happy what we are doing, and we managed to have a couple of huge customers along the way, like Domino's Pizza, Vodafone, Philip Morris, and these persons that are using, again, they don't know what GIS means, so
Right.
they use it, but it's something like Google Maps. They started using, and no one taught us how to use. So that's the idea behind Mapidea.
It's true. Like people get overwhelmed with the expansiveness of what they can do with some GIS softwares, and it's almost like they don't know where to start, so they just don't start. And then you're spending all this money on something that you're not using. And so what's the purpose of that? What's one of your favorite memories working on this project? I'm sure that there was plenty of late nights and different challenges and that sort of thing. Is there a particular thing that stands out to you when you guys were working on the project?
Yes, there are, because again, this is something that we cannot say exactly when we started working on this, because the idea was brainstorming a long time ago. So when first time we just did a drag and drop over the map and see the dots appearing, that's a wow moment even for us. But,
it's like, yay, it worked.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it works. And people get really surprised, because the heavy lifting of the development was done by two people alone. Not myself. I just do the design and the functional part. Eduardo, my colleague, and Cosme, other colleague, they did practically the first version alone. So it's very rare, even in startups, to have a full product. It's not an MVP. No, it's a product that was already sold, generating revenue with just two development people. But again, we started to close accounts, and those were moments, although the business part and the economic part is important. We are working on a thing that we love, but it's very impressive when we have a deal with Philip Morris on Domino's Pizza, for example. The first meeting with Domino's Pizza here in Portugal, it's on their first store, and I was showing Mapidea in a bag of flour on the warehouse, showing Mapidea. So that memory sticks forever with me.
Yeah.
But I think the happiest memory, and we are very, very proud of telling this story, we offered Mapidea to the Blood Donors Institute here in Portugal. So it's a government institute, and they're using Mapidea to understand where they should do more campaigns to acquire more blood donors and to follow up things spatially, not only on Excel like they used to do. And that is a very, very proud story for us, very happy story, because it managed to turn something meaningful and something that, in the end of the day, we know that Mapidea is helping. They're doing a better job. And this is 3 years ago, so they are still using the application, very happy, and it's not a commercial relation. So we offer them, and we always say we'll never sell you anything. It's really to help. We cannot help a lot of companies, obviously, because we don't have enough people in the house. But we decided to go for Blood Donors Institute, and that is my best memory of Mapidea so far.
Yeah, and that is truly amazing. Like when you think about it, your product is helping save people and help provide that. That's huge. I know personally that's what drives me a lot in what I do with Project Spatial, but also just in my career in general, is the knowledge that what we provide, that information, the connection, the communication, helps people get things accomplished, like collecting blood donations and focusing on more people that they can do. And I'm a big proponent of that.
And again, it's just connecting the dots, because they have the data. So it's when they put it on the map, it's a aha moment. They found relations, patterns. It's impossible to find on an Excel. This is an old story, old GIS guys tell about this, but it's true. So it's really changing the way they perceive their operations. It's great.
Right. When you guys were developing your Mapidea, what do you think is your ideal customer that you're kind of targeting towards all of this? Is it, a big industry? Is it the smaller industries, nonprofits, or what are you guys really trying to focus on right now?
We decided right from the start to focus on medium large organizations, and the reason it's not only economical, it's also because Mapidea breeds better with more data. So if you want to open one restaurant, probably Mapidea is not for you, but if you want to have a 100 restaurants chain, it's for you. A telecom, a bank, an insurance company, a pharma company. So big organizations with a lot of potential users and with lots of data. That is our ideal customer. Our really ideal customer is someone that already has a GIS department or a geomarketing department. So they can use Mapidea to broadcast their data and their analytical capabilities throughout the organization. So ideally, someone that has a lot of Mapinfos or ArcGIS, and then the expert guys, the GIS guys use those tools, and then for the other departments, they spread the information with Mapidea. Also, a thing very important is customers that aren't afraid of technology. So are ready to experiment new ways of doing old things.
Right. Yeah.
I remember a meeting a couple of years ago with a bank manager in charge of opening branches. And he said, I don't need geomarketing, I don't need the geography, I just open where the next guys are, the big banks are. This is a absolutely real story. That bank is already closed in Portugal. So,
oh no.
But I'm not saying that's a direct consequence of this, but again, people tend to think that they can manage the spatial part just by their common sense. And this is very important. But when they multiply that common sense with solutions like these, the value of those insights multiplies. So the decisions are much more accurate, or it's better taken with lesser risk to the organization. So on top of these characteristics, I would say organization that is willing to try a new way to do old stuff.
Right. And I think we've all been in that point where we have had an idea, our intuition was telling us that one thing was true, and then we do the analysis and we run the data and we find out that we are completely wrong. And so it's nice having that data to back up your intuition and those gut instincts that you have, because sometimes you are way off. Would you be willing to share your screen and so we can kind of take a look at the software here?
This is a web-based application, so this can be installed on a private cloud or on our own cloud or even on premises. So we have customers that need that security of on premises, so it's really up to the customer. And then they don't need to install anything on the computer. So this is a browser, they just log in with their user, and different users can see different things. So think of different departments seeing different data on the application. The first part is the map. So the map is a central part of the application. It's something that it really gets the attention of the user. It's very appealing to the visual part is very appealing. So we have the normal representation nowadays that with Google Maps, with Bing Maps, with Mapbox, everyone is used to see the maps like this. And then on the left side, we have what we call the library of data. So basically is where the layers are deployed and people can use it just by dragging and dropping. So if it's on an iPad or on a tablet, it's with a finger drag and drop to the map. So for example, if I want to see the city blocks of San Francisco, I just drag and drop to the map and they'll appear. It's not file opening, choose coordinates. No, it's just drag and drop.
Right.
If I want to see customers, I drag and drop the customers to the map and I see those elements. And for us GIS persons, this is not news, but you can change the order, you can put visible and invisible. So it's very plastic on the sense that you get a grip of Mapidea very, very easily. A couple of minutes of conversation, you get the idea behind how it works. And every time you put a layer on the map, you will also have a tabular view here at the bottom. So I'm seeing the city blocks. If I want to see the customers, I see the customers. If I press one, and by the way, this is fictional data, so it's really to show, so no problems with GDPR. So if I press one location, it will zoom to that element. And then here at the right appears a mini dashboard with data. So if I press one city block, I will see a dashboard with data. So this is how Mapidea works in a nutshell. And if I'm done with using this layer, I just simply remove and it goes back up here. Or if I press clear, everything goes away. So the end user doesn't spoil any data. It just sees and explores the data. An example and where we get the functionalities, the actual analytical functionalities. Let's put the city blocks. Let's put stores on the map. So we have here a couple of fictional stores. And let's say I want to know how many population lives within 800 meters of the stores. I press one click on the city blocks, and this is the functionalities of Mapidea. So it's not hundreds of functions and buttons. No, you have 5 things to do, and probably it will take you a long way solving problems. The other part, use a desktop GIS, a more powerful application to work with Mapidea. Quick example. Let's say that we want to select the city blocks that have a store within 800 meters. I go to the functionality filter, and I can use attributes to do filters or other layers. In this case, let's use the stores and say everything is drag and drop. So I want the city blocks that contains or doesn't contain. In this case, I want the city blocks that contains a store up to 800 meters. I press apply, and I see the results on the map. So I not only see them on the map, but I also have the table here saying only 121 city blocks out of the total are near these stores. And if I want to see the sum results, I have it here. And if I want to do a simple thematic map, one click, 2, I don't need to understand nothing about cartography, about GIS. I just need to select the metric that I want to see. For example, I want to see the number of families. Drag, drop, create. It automatically creates a representation of the map in this way. And we don't have, on purpose, don't have options to select let's do another map, for example, with the number of housing units. We don't have natural breaks, equal count, so options to divide the classes. It's a natural break. Then you can change the number of classes. You can change individually the values. You can even change the colors individually. But at the end of the day, the idea is that the map always gets right instead of being a Frankenstein of colors and stuff that we typically see when people are just experiment with GIS tools. Don't have expertise on this. So one click or two, and I can change the colors, and then I can change the opacity. It's like seeing what's beneath to understand, do I have more families where I have more certain phenomena or not? And then is this natural curiosity. So going deeper in the map and understanding, let's put the names, for example, and understand why things are concentrated in certain locations and try to find answers and justifications for these topics. And again, we have done this in 1 or 2 minutes, and this is actually exactly how our customers are doing it. Another example of functionality. So let's say, for example, that I want to understand the distribution of customers within an important street. For example, I can create layers on the fly and say, okay, I want to understand in this street. Obviously, I can do this with much more detail. And sometimes GIS persons, oh, but this needs to be perfect. for a marketing perspective, it doesn't need to be perfect. So
right.
to have an idea, so I'll just do it very roughly, saying, okay, I want to understand how many customers do I have it here, and in this street here, and let's put this, for example, here. So I just draw a couple of lines on the map, and now I'm using the customers, and I'll do a filter that combines spatial characteristics with attribute filter. So let's say, for example, filter, let's go and get the streets. Okay, I want the customers near or away. So we try to humanize the GIS language anytime it's possible. So I want the customers near up to 600 meters, but at the same time, I only want the customers from the price plan gold. Or if I put this on top, it's like putting parentheses on the expression. So you can create very complex filtering just by dragging and dropping the elements. Let's keep it simpler and say, okay, I want the customers from the price plan gold or silver, one of these price plans, but at the same time, they need to be up to 600 meters of those important streets. I press apply and I see the results on the map.
Yeah.
I can turn this into a heat map to understand at a glance concentrations. And now the decisions of the sales of the marketing person can be, okay, let's focus here and here because here we already have, or the other way around. So that conclusion part is not with us, it's with them. They have the ability to decide and go back and forth with this. So if I go back here and say, filter instead of 600, let's put 1000 meters and change the only gold, press apply, this changes on the fly. And is this going back and forward that saves a lot of emails between the GIS guy and the, so.
Very much so, yep.
Let's put 2000 kilometers and let's remove this, press apply and have, now obviously it changes the landscape. And the punchline sometimes is to be able to do this. Okay, I have the customers, can I export them to geographic formats or to a simple Excel? And this saves 1 day in corporate time.
Oh, definitely.
Emails. And the difference is that if you receive an email with this Excel, so let's say you receive an email with this, you receive an email with this information. You don't have a context. It's in the north of the city, it's south of the city, so it's a dead PowerPoint. And here you have the ability to understand at a glance where they are concentrated. And okay, let's put our stores to see the relation, or let's put the location of companies. So you have the ability to carry on exploring the data and finding out information. This is basically the bread and butter of Mapidea. And then we have added one more capability that it's really a game changer. It's the ability to create their own data. So an example, let's put, for example, let's draw on a map, so certain business areas, for example. So let's say, okay, I want to understand what's happening in this part of town. Again, I'm doing this very roughly just to save us time. So for example, like this, and let's say, well, I'm doing, the GIS guys have to forgive me. It's just to showcase more the functionality itself. So we have created these areas on the fly. And now we can calculate information based on the layers that are available. So you don't even need to put the layers on the map to do the operation. So I'll remove and let's do a couple of calculations. One click, let's go to the calculation functionality and let's use the layers available. So let's count how many customers do we have. Customers. Let's know how much they spend, for example. So value. At the same time, let's use the city blocks to count how many households, housing unit, for example. This is for humans, so you can write proper names with spaces, with punctuation, so we don't have a 10 character limit. So I think it's important for the user to engage with the data.
Mm-hmm.
And let's use the cell sites to count how many calls were made. Let's pretend that we are working on a telco company. Calls were made on a specific day, for example, on this day. I press apply, and these calculations were made on the fly. So when I close and I check here, these data was calculated now. So, and if this data changes, so if I save this analysis and share with some users or just drag and drop, they'll receive an email saying this analysis is ready for them to use. The only thing they need to do in Mapidea is, let's pretend that I've just logged in. Instead of dragging and dropping all the layers and doing all the steps, no, they go to analysis. They can have hundreds of analyses here saved. They just drag and drop. And it will replicate all the steps. So if the data changes on the sources, so the results will change. So if you have your customer file uploaded every day, for example, the results here will change. Mm-hmm. And this is a wheel of functionalities. Now you can go back and use the ones that you already know. Let's do a map with a number of customers. Let's do all these combinations that take you a long way exploring the data. But I think this is the one of the most important functionalities, the ability to create data. So the value of the data multiplies. Another example, let's put the city blocks and let's calculate how many customers do you have here. So technically what we are doing is creating a new column of data. So we've just created this column on the fly. Now I can, for example, do a calculation, not a spatial one, a normal one, and say, okay, let's divide the number of customers. This is a carousel of operations. So customers divided by housing units. Let's call it like a market share. It's abusive, but so let's multiply this by 100. And now map. Of course, it doesn't make sense. The data, it's all wrong. It's made up. But it's the ability to create the data on the fly and then represent it on the map and use it for further analysis. That's the goal. The goal
right.
here.
Right, and I love that it's so intuitive that you can give this to your executives that don't have the time to learn every simple step of GIS and how to set up those analysis, and you can have your GIS department set up the analysis for you and then just provide that to your managers, your CEOs, and that sort of stuff, and so they can just pull it up and use it. They don't have to deal with all the other portions of that, which is, I mean, to me, it gives your data life. You put all of this time as a GIS person into your data, into all of the work that you do for years and years, collecting and maintaining and cleaning your data. And then if you don't get it into the people that are making decisions about it, it's not worth anything. Is there like a particular business need that you guys have seen that this has truly met recently for some of your customers, or?
I think a very pragmatic story is the Domino's Pizza case. So they are expanding in Portugal, in a couple of countries in Europe. They are using Mapidea to decide where to open the stores. So, and again, you can imagine that is a very important decision to put the store on the right place. And instead of taking 1 or 2 weeks to gather all the data, they can do it in a couple of minutes in Mapidea. And again, I'm sounding like a software salesman. It's true. So they do something very similar to this. So let's pretend I want to open a store here and I want to understand the value of these new stores, for example. Let's say that I want to open a store here and one here, and I don't know San Francisco. I just been there once, but okay, just pretend that I have these 3 locations that I want to open a store. With 1 click, I can do a proximity analysis, not a buffer, and say, okay, walking time, 15 minutes walking time from these locations. This is the areas. another click with the calculation. Let's use the city blocks to count how many families, for example. Let's pretend this is the target families. And at the same time, let's pretend these are the competitors, or that they already have geocoded, and let's count the competitors. So then, now I have these areas with this number of families, number of competitors created on the fly, that I can use this information to have a more informed decision. And this is something, it's game changing. It's not 2 weeks, it's half an hour the most to decide. Pharma companies also, it's very interesting business because they have a ton of data they don't see spatially. It's on a different level. It's not at urban level. It's something like, I'm not sure if I have it some here, like at Campio. Imagine this. This is not only a micro tool. So you want to understand the sales per rep region or something. It's the same principle. Okay, let's 3 clicks. Can I see, or for example, let's compare, for example, products A, in this case is male versus females, but imagine product A versus a product from the competitor, because pharma have access to third-party data with this. If they drag and drop 2 metrics, and I will change this color so it doesn't look a political map. So you automatically are seeing on the map where I'm selling more than the other product.
Right.
This is a real map. There are more males in this area, there are more females in the blue area. But it is flexibility that is a really game changer. They didn't see this before like this. So they are only used to do business intelligence tools with a couple of bad maps on it, or sometimes just the map is just another way to put data on a chart. And this, this is something that you can work on top. You can do filter calculations like we did before.
Well, and it's interactive and it's dynamic and it's constantly updating. And yeah, it really opens up those doors to discovery. One thing that I'm curious about that other people might have noticed is when you click on certain areas, you're getting charts that are coming up with that. Do you want to just touch a little bit on what that chart is and how that's being generated?
Yes, thanks for reminding me, because I think forget this. This is a way to see the data, the attributes that are on the layer. And instead of being hard-coded or something that the admin of the tool needs to configure, the end user can change it. So if I go here, one click and go to the info tool or the dashboard, I'll even clear it up so you can see. So it's just a question of dragging and dropping attributes to have a list and the attributes to do a chart. So if I want the county codes and I want the population density and I want to see the number of youngsters here, I press apply. Now when I press one location, I have this report configured accordingly. If I want to go back and, okay, but I want to do a chart with the evolution of population, 2010 and 2015. Apply. Now if I press one location, I have this change. So this is being used in meeting rooms also. Again, instead of having a dead PowerPoint, and if someone asks something different, it's like game over. Here, no, you can change it on the fly and say, I can even show you, let me just use the San Francisco example, a temporal view of data. So imagine that these are cell sites, again, fictional data, so no worries about confidentiality. I can press here and I can see a chart with the evolution per day, per week, or per month. And I'm seeing this phenomena, but I want to see another one. One click, remove. I want to see the amount of dropped calls, for example. Let's put it in reds. And here, I just want to see the average revenue per user, the technology, and that's it. Apply. Now, if I press one sales site, I'm seeing this data. So the chart part and the dashboard becomes also a very important part of the analysis process, because I think is something that is underrated. The ability to see, the ability to look at the map and do like this. Okay, I want to see the sales sites where the amount of drop calls from one day have increased from the previous day or a different day. So we try to combine the temporal view also with the data. So we're going to see the cell sites on the map that have increased the drop call from one day to another. Press apply, and I'm seeing this. Let's click on the heat map to understand that the concentrations. Sometimes it's enough for this. It's just the ability to see, okay, but it was a huge increase or just a tiny increase. And I can explore this visually. And I think this is way underrated. Again, not for us, geographers, GIS persons, but for the rest of the business users, the ability to see, to point on the map and to take conclusions, I think it's very, very powerful.
Well, and as you mentioned, sitting in meetings, like how many times have we sat in meetings and a question comes up and nobody knows to answer it, or it's a 2-day process to get an answer from the GIS department and all of that, where it's, if you have this in your meeting, you instantly can pull that information up, make a decision and move on. Just the amount of time that will save is really like that cost savings that you're getting out of there. It's like you can instantly just make decisions and move on. And I think that is extremely powerful. I don't know how many bad meetings you've sat through, but I've sat through a fair amount where we're all going, well, I don't know, we'll have to see what the data says. And then 2 weeks later, you finally get your response and you get back together for another meeting.
I had some meetings like that, and I have something even worse, is having a meeting with key stakeholders, the decision persons on a bank, for example, like 10 people on the meeting room, and opening Mapinfo and using Mapinfo on the fly in front of them to produce the results. And then people, the answer is done, but it doesn't take like 2 seconds, right? So it's very tough to manage their expectations, because they think that everything is now. No, it's like you are saying, sometimes it takes 2 days of the GIS department to produce some information. And again, that were one of the ideas behind Mapidea, to be able to use it on a meeting room also. And
right.
make people to point the map. When on a big screen, they can stand up and what's happening here? What's happening there? Why is the north of the city like that? And that's the idea. Get them going, thinking about spatially about problems and challenges.
Yeah, and then you can actually solve the problem with all the right people in the room and get business done instead of just having meetings about meetings about meetings.
Exactly.
Well, is there any other questions you get when people are looking at Mapidea and they're trying to figure out, do I pull the trigger, do I not pull the trigger, that you would like to address, some kind of common frequently asked questions?
Yes. In fact, there are 2 questions that sometimes the first one is somewhat problematic. We talk about GDPR, global data regulations. In Europe is a very important topic nowadays. They change the regulations. It's much more aggressive. And then when they look at stuff like this, seeing the customers on the map and things, oh, what about GDPR? Well, the answer is this is like an Excel. So if you have problems using your own data on an Excel application, you will have problems using the application, the data on Mapidea. So it's not a problem, but is a fear of the organizations. So we have to deconstruct that fear and to make them see that it's not a problem. It's the same of using a desktop GIS or any application. The second one is about the data. So when some user sees Mapidea all constructed, all very plastic, so the layers are here, this is completely open. So you can put whatever layers you want here. So even as an end user, I don't have here US data, I have UK data, but imagine this. If you have shape files, you can simply drag and drop to Mapidea and use it. So it's an open system in that sense. It's not something that is closed. And this is the 2, not myths, but 2 challenges that we face frequently when we are talking to customers. These ATMs are in the UK, so I just drag and drop a shape file, and now the elements are here. Or if I grab a map info file, for example, building locations, again, drag and drop. You can drag and drop GeoJSON, CSV files, Excel files with coordinates, KML. So it's really open in that sense. And this comes to prove to those questions, sometimes to those persons, that you can put your own data. It's not a project. It's not a 6-month project to put your own data here. Sometimes it's on the same day they are using the application. And that is also a myth that sometimes GIS community contributes to that. If the data is already there, if it's already with latitude and longitude, sometimes you don't take 1 month to put that data to use. And I think, and I don't want to be unfair, but I think we as a community have sometimes a tendency to complicate things. Sometimes it's easy as drag and drop, and here they are, the buildings and the city blocks, and or the buildings, and then we can work with the information.
Right.
But these are the two challenges that we face.
Yeah, sometimes when you're trying to meet every single need with a software system, it does become too complicated. It's nicer to have targeted systems that you know that it's going to work every single time for the information that you need to get across. And I think that that's kind of where this excels, is that you guys are meeting a very particular business need that allows people to discover and work with information quickly. And it's not going to replace your entire GIS department, but it is just going to enhance it and give that information life to the people that really need it. I was very impressed when we first sat down and talked, and that's why I wanted to have you on my channel and kind of feature your software, because I think you guys are doing something really unique and special that can help promote spatial analysis and spatial thought. And yeah, I really wanted to be able to work with you guys more on that, because I do believe that you guys have something here that is unique and is going to be very helpful for a lot of people.
Who knows? Maybe one day we'll find a Google Maps event. From one day to another, they have like 1 billion persons using maps on a daily basis, and that's the ultimate goal, the ultimate dream, to be able to have location analytics tool, preferably Mapidea, obviously, but tools inside the organization with like an Excel, Microsoft Excel, or,
Right.
or Outlook on the email. That is the dream.
For all of you watching, I am going to make sure all of Miguel's contact information, and if you want to get more info about Mapidea, I will have it all down in the links below. So make sure you check out the description, and so people can get in touch with you, right?
Right.
Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate all of your time, and hopefully you can see the passion that he has for GIS and working with location and increasing spatial awareness. He's really been great to work with. So if you feel like you could use this application or you want to test it out and see more about it, please don't hesitate to check him out. All of the information is down below. Thanks. Bye.